welcome back to the channel. In today's video we are talking about yeast, and we are talking about making your sourdough starter, or which I call the mama yeast, or basically a yeast starter from raisins. There are two easy ways. You might have seen many videos online that people do a sourdough starters. It's really straightforward, and everybody's got their own potential little twist, how to keep it, how to feed it or not to feed it. There's many options out there. My sourdough starter, or the mama yeast, I've been given that tip through from one of the Italian restaurants we used to eat a lot, and basically they used to do the most amazing pizza dough. And when we kind of got a bit friendly and started talking, he actually gave me a piece of a really old mama yeast starter, which I had in the fridge and I had to keep feeding it, blah blah blah. And basically after a little while it's died, because I just left it and I just didn't have the opportunity or time to look after it. And I had to ask the guys, could you please help me, so if I have to start this again, how to do it. And it's literally very simple. So I'm going to just demonstrate it to you. I'm going to do this in a bowl. This one here I've been having in the fridge for a few days already. I've been using it, but I just wanted to demonstrate to you how simple it is to make. We have, guys, and I have the remainder of honey. So I'm going to do like 1-to-1 proportion. Again, I'm just doing this in a bowl just to give you an idea, but it is very straightforward. So we've got pretty much 2 tablespoons of honey. I'm going to add on, and I'm going to do like a tiny little batch, just as a demonstration. Okay, we're going to put a little bit of flour. Just don't mix it up. Okay, and then I'm going to add on a little bit of water. But basically want to get it to a wet dough consistency. Okay, hold on, I'll show you that in a second. And a bit more flour. Again, it's more convenient, more easily if you do this in a jar, but for some reason I decided not to. Okay. It's easier to mix in here anyway. Because obviously the, as you guys probably know, yeast is pretty much everywhere. So to be able to harvest and to create a yeast starter, it's just ideal. So you don't have to worry about purchasing yeast, don't have to worry about it expiring, because you can just harvest the yeast from the nature, if that makes sense. So here we are. This is kind of the consistency I had. I'll show you that in a minute. It basically looks like a really wet dough. So I then put it in the jar. I initially done this in the jar, and you leave the lid and you put it somewhere in a warm corner for 3 days. This is how it worked for me. In the 3 days, obviously, let it sit there, add on a little bit of flour, add it on, keep mixing it in, and just let it sit there. So basically in around 5 days time, it will become a proper yeast starter. It is a bit of a slow to take off, because don't forget, it all depends on your environment in your house and the yeast, whatever yeast is in the air. A lot of people suggest you can put this outside by the plants. Apparently that speeds up the process. But if you're not in a hurry, once you started it, to be fair, then you don't have to worry about it. So I had this one for a little while. It's nice and foamy. Yes, you got to feed it. If you guys use the sourdough starter, you got to feed this probably every couple of days if it lives outside. But you have to obviously discard parts of it. So if you bake on a regular basis, that's absolutely fine. I don't bake every day or every other day, so I keep this guy in the fridge. So all I gotta do every time I use it or not use it, every couple of weeks, basically add on a couple of tablespoons of flour to the top, mix it in, then put this in the fridge, and it will happily sit there for literally at least a couple of weeks. When you come to use it again, just add on a little bit of water, let it time to sit, come to the room temperature, and it'll be fine, ready to use. Don't forget, guys, the sourdough starter, it's not your ready active yeast. It takes time to prove your dough. So basically when you do your dough, you have to plan in advance. So if you are, say, baking the bread tomorrow, get this out of the fridge the night before, feed it, so when you come to do it the following day, it's ready, warm and ready to go. So literally this is as simple as. This way in the fridge with a lot of flour on top, I don't have to worry about feeding it every day or every other day and forgetting about it. So every couple of weeks, yes, I'll bake something, so that's nice and convenient. I don't know why you guys like the honey, but I didn't really question. If Italians say especially with the food. This is what they do, then this is what I do. So anyway, and it worked. So I'm really happy with that. Okay, and this one is, right, it was a little bit news to me. I've done a little research before when I started brewing that apparently you can harvest yeast when you do your home brew, and I'm like, yeah, that sounds like a good idea as well. And my goodness, this actually works for the dough. I haven't yet used it to produce any of the home brews yet, but I will certainly give this a go. However, that works for the sourdough to basically, instead of a sourdough starter. And again, guys, like, it couldn't be any simpler. Raisins, okay? I put a bunch of raisins in the jar. Again, I'm just doing this for demonstration purposes. Okay, so I have, let's put, because I'm going to use that up. Right, I've put, I don't know, let's call it 3 tablespoons, okay? I've got 1 cup of water. Put it in there. Put the lid on. Shake it up, because apparently the fruits, and especially raisins, dry fruits, have a lot of yeast already in them. So anything dry fruit can technically work, but raisins apparently work the best. So as you see, this is what it looks like at the moment. It's just plain water and raisins. Again, it has to go into one place, and you got to keep shaking it at least 2 or 3 times a day for next 3 days. Okay, it's not rocket science. Literally, shake it up, put it down, shake it up, put it down. Don't forget, after the fermentation starts, the raisins will start floating, slowly start floating to the top. When this happens, you got to start opening the lid to release the gas, because obviously it starts to fermenting, creates carbon dioxide, and your jar could explode. So have it opened up. So as you can see now, this has been for 7 days, and it's finally finished. So all the raisins are plumped up, they're soaked in a lot of water, and basically created that lovely golden liquid. And this is what we call basically your yeast starter, but a liquid starter. It must have some proper name to it. But anyway, but this is what it is. And it's literally as simple as, who would have thought, right? Then have it, just a bit of the raisins and a little bit of water. You create something you can bake your bread with, or, do your home brew. So anyway, so all you do is to strain this, put this in a clean jar, and you'll keep in your fridge for another week. As for me, experimenting it with the bread, for the half a kilo of flour, at 200, basically whatever's left in there, a couple of 100 mils of liquid starter, and of course obviously add on your water or milk, whatever you're using to create your dough, to obviously create the consistency you want. That seemed to be a thing that works for me. Don't forget, guys, like, everybody uses different flour. Your yeast thing, especially if you're making the starter, will be kind of yeast to your home. Do you know what I mean? It's never going to be 100% the same, so your results might be different. But once you experimented, once you're done, experiment what works for you, and once you know your proportions, it's kind of happy days and you're ready to go. So anyway, I haven't gone into the great details, guys, of anything else. It's just, I just wanted to share with you how I've done this starter and the idea of using the grapes, which I think is a brilliant idea anyway. And well, hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you got any comments, please comment below. If you haven't subscribed, maybe consider subscribing, and I shall see you on my other video. Bye bye.